I think that's interesting. It's a really interesting
Absolutely,
statement.
absolutely. And alongside that data journey, if you will, as well, having the kind of 360 visibility of that as well. And at the end of it, you mentioned donors there, kind of measuring the impact as well. I've started talking about, I do some research as well about changing some things around KPIs, for example. So we've always talked about return on investment, haven't we? But return on SI, so ROSI, return on social impact, for example, bringing those to the fore, having leadership measures that are related on these impact outcomes, and pairing non-profits with for-profits around making some of this change happen as well. I think it's really, really interesting as well. I'm seeing a lot more around collaboration in this space as well, which is great to see.
I think that's an interesting statement, especially considering what's behind your head, right? It has to be sustainable, the impact. Yes. The collaboration that you talked about was really interesting. And then ultimately, can we do it? Sure, an organization might have the ability to do it, but should we do it? And what's the ultimate impact going to be for that particular constituency?
Absolutely.
Okay, because we could do it, we should do it. And I think maybe that ties back to your data comment. If we're using data properly, and I think the UN has a new project that was underway with Penn State
yes, absolutely.
to talk about, should we do the project, and having this total access to all the different data elements in order to make that evaluation. Well, we can do it. We have the capacity to do it. We have donors who are eager to do it, but ultimately it's not going to be effective to those particular constituencies. And we can't waste our effort, time, or money on those particular projects that won't have those lasting impacts. And to tie it back to technology, the more open and transparent we can make the platforms interact with one another, the greater we're going to have money better directed and better spent with better outcomes. Well, sound really preachy. I didn't mean to do that.
No, you didn't come across like that, honestly. No, it was more facilitatory. Absolutely. All is good. All is good. And also for everybody watching, just to point out, as was mentioned by Chris there about the backdrop here. So that is kind of a representation of the SDGs, or the Sustainable Development Goals, and kind of that growth and knowledge kind of take that I've put to the fore there as well. So it feels like it echoes our conversation today. So I think that's great. So thank you for pointing that out, Chris. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it is also interesting when you think about the Sustainable Development Goals are more interlocked than they ever used to be.
Absolutely.
Right, and they're more complementary than they ever used to be. And really, it's a platform for growth for people in need, right? And I think that's how I know that Uniphore thinks about technology. We no longer think about individual solutions, right? We talk about platforms as a service, and these ability to launch projects and programs quickly, to be able to bring data in seamlessly. And I think this is the way of the world. I think this is where it's going, right? We've gone from these monolithic ERPs, right, that we had to customize, and God love any not-for-profit that did it, because that was what was available. And as a technology provider, it was still leading edge. And then we got roped into customizing these solutions so that we could tailor them to our particular mission. Great. So then now we have software as a service. And so these individual solutions that are out there are on the cloud, but it might be just a horse of a different color. Right? We're still having to customize and configure these systems in order to help them serve our mission. Where I think the next generation of software is going to be platform as a service. We can quickly add on individual applications that will make a difference to our particular program. So if we take an organization that's global by nature, and we have an individual country office, and we might have a program actually out in the field, and we have the ICT 4D, so the Information Communication Technology for Development. Don't want to throw around acronym. They might need a particular application. They might even develop one for that particular remote location in, let's say, Uganda, and we're doing malaria testing. But it may not even persist. So it's an application that has a certain need. It satisfies that need, but it has a window, and then it goes away. And we consider that 250 applications. Who knows how many ICT4D little apps that are added on. So we need to bring that information into the system. It needs to be able to bolt on seamlessly using the common data model. Data is transferred over safe and secure. We get to use it and analyze. We get to monitor efficacy. And then ultimately, when we're successful in that particular region or project or program is up and sustaining and functioning by itself, we can kind of roll back the technology, and we don't have to continue that investment or the maintenance, and it can morph and change and grow. And I like that tree because it's kind of interlocking. And I think that's where it's going to go. And much like your cell phone, right? We add apps and get rid of apps and upgrade, and it's all kind of seamless.
I know we're getting near to the end of our kind of time today for this particular chat, but is there anything else you would like to share? I always kind of like to lead it on like maybe a piece of advice to share about, if you're a nonprofit now and you're dealing with some of these challenges we've mentioned, or you're thinking about where to go next. Is there any final thoughts you would like to share off the back of your non-for-profit work at Unit 4 that you think might be really valuable for the audience for their next steps?
I like to quote Farah Abbas. She's one of my new favorite people, the CIO at Oxfam US. She talks about when they started to look at their digital transformation project, and when they started delivery and they were going through the change management that you mentioned, and they were struggling, and as you do with projects, and they're trying to evaluate what's important and what's not important. She said that it was important for Oxfam to speak with one voice, to be aligned around a common shared vision of what the outcome was going to be. And I think not only for their technology project, and ultimately they went live and they're doing great, and I'm proud to have been associated with that, but I think that should apply writ large to other technology platforms. And I think it's something that we at Unit 4, I think, do very well, certainly with regard to the not-for-profit space. That ultimately, we're here to serve and to service organizations with a mission to serve, where people are at their center of what they do, and they're giving that particular service to people. And that our one voice is that technology should eliminate these barriers to success for people. And I was talking about mission without people, and the mission ultimately has to have those people using technology in a way that's transparent, in a way that's effective, in a way that isn't cumbersome, so that they can deliver on not only the organizational mission, but their personal drive to participate in those particular activities. And I think that's the one voice that Unit 4 has.
That's wonderful. Honestly, Chris, what a great way to end it. I think you kind of showed really the personification of how people, technology, data in partnership can deliver shared value. And I think the work you're doing at Unit 4 to really support that is very valid and very meaningful indeed. So it's been an absolute pleasure to spend time with you today. Thank you, Chris, for all your contributions. And thank you all for watching as well. And I'll be sharing links about some of the examples we've shared today, and more broadly about the work of Chris as Global Lead for Non-for-Profit at Unit 4 alongside the show as well. So you can follow up and find out more details. Thank you all. And thank you, Chris.
Indeed.